Eric, just testing. Can you hear me? Eric, would you unmute and Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. By my watch, it's still about a minute till 10 o'clock. We'll give it a couple of minutes for other folks to log on before we get started. Give it about another minute here before we get started. Okay, by my clock, I show it's a couple of minutes after 10. We'll go ahead and get started. I just want to remind everyone that we are recording this session, so we'll have the recording available on the city's website for folks of you who weren't able to attend in virtually live, I guess is the way to put it, since we can't say in person anymore. Again, this is the tenant meeting for the ramp rehabilitation project, but we also wanted to kind of cover our runway lighting project and some other projects that are going on in the city or at the airport as well. My name is Britt Smith. I'm the Operations Division Director. And so presenting today, we'll also have Eric Bowers, the airport manager. Eric will be talking about some of the projects going on at the airport administration building and restaurant, as well as parking lot. Tom Dowse from Burns and McDonnell will be as our project engineer for both the ramp rehabilitation project and also our lighting project that for our flood damage repairs. And Dave Hadel is also with us as manager of the aviation services section for Burns and McDonnell. With that, you should be, those of you who are not calling, should be able to see my screen with our agenda. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here in a minute. And as Tom's going to have the next section, we're going to talk about the runway lighting project that's coming up, or the flood damage repairs. And I believe Tom has some visuals that he's going to show. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And Tom, if you'd like to take over and share your screen and begin on the runway lighting project would be great.
Sure thing. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. First off, we are looking at the runway lighting replacement project. For those of you who are not familiar with the project to this point, the game plan is to replace the edge lighting and threshold lighting for both runways. And also some of the signs will be replaced for those runways, and then a couple of sign faces. And then the edge reflectors for the taxiway, Charlie and Delta, will also be replaced as part of this project. It's planned to be constructed over 18 days in 4 different phases. If you can see the screen, can you guys see the screen just fine? Perfect. Okay. So phase 1, we're going to start out on runway 927. We'll do that west side there. Get the contractor familiar with their day-to-day, setting up barricades, setting up the X's, just being really familiar with the airfield. So that way when we get into the runway intersection, which is phase 2, hopefully we can be as speedy as possible. And then after that, we'll get into phase 3, which will be the north and south ends from that intersection on 1230. And then after that, we will finish up with doing some more of those reflectors on Charlie and Delta. Like I said, 18 calendar days. It'll be daily closures, so 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Outside of that time frame, the surfaces will be reopened, assuming they are able to get the circuits back up and running each day, which is the game plan. And then on Sunday, we'll be completely out of the way. Game ballpark schedule. We've got a pre-construction meeting coming up on this one, but we're anticipating a notice to proceed probably the first week or so of June, depending on procurement schedule. The lighting materials can take a long time sometimes to get. Right now, we're seeing about 12-week lead times on some of those items. So we'll have a discussion with the contractor. Once they get that part hammered out, we'll be able to get a more updated schedule, more complete schedule. But we're hoping to be done mid-June with this project, assuming they can get the materials in a timely manner. You want me to go ahead and talk about the next project, or should we take any questions on this one?
Why don't we if anybody has any questions in reference to the lighting project, why don't we do that so we don't get confused in the two different projects? We probably will at some point, but let's try to open it up for anybody who has questions. Does anybody have questions they'd like to ask?
Hi, this is Matt. I'm the air traffic manager at the airport.
Hi, Matt.
You said you're looking at 18 days. Is that 18 work days or 18 calendar days?
Calendar day, sir.
Calendar. So that would include the not work days.
Correct.
18 days start to finish. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you said you're anticipating 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. closures Monday through Saturday and not working Sunday.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. And there might need to be a little bit of flexibility if they have an issue getting a circuit back up and running on one of those days. I don't anticipate that to be an issue since it's fixture replacement for the most part. It's not as in depth as fully rewiring everything. So I don't anticipate there to be as big of a concern for the potential for a circuit not being up and running at the end of the day.
Okay. Thank you.
And as Tom said, procurement schedule is going to be, kind of running the timeline for this project. And we are meeting with the contractor tomorrow on a pre-construction conference. So we'll have more information then. But again, it's still going to be estimates. Procurement has really gotten messed up with COVID as well. These are long lead items to begin with, but you throw COVID in it, it really gets crazy. So Eric will be updating through email the tenants as we go forward with this project and get a little bit honed in on those schedules. Does anybody else have any questions? All right, hearing none. Tom, you want to move on to the ramp rehabilitation project?
Sure thing. Okay. So the second project we are looking to get underway this year construction-wise is the apron rehabilitation project. It's a pavement repairs type of project. It's not a full rehab of any of the major areas of the apron. It is currently in design. We're hoping to get that advertised here this month and get some bid opening next month and get this project under construction possibly early May. And it's currently slated to be a 65 calendar day project. The main work areas include the north ramp and the main ramp. You can see on the screen there's some slightly darker shaded hatches in little areas. Those are going to be some panel replacements, or in this case, the main asphalt transition between the two ramps will be replaced full depth. Apart from those types of repairs, there'll be some joint resealing, some isolated spall repairs, and then we're also going to remark the centerline stripes on the north and main ramps. This is broken up into 3 general phases. Phase 1 is the red looking hatch, which is the north ramp in front of the terminal area. Also, phase 2 is the main ramp on the southeast side there. And phase 3 is broken up into 3 work areas to try to limit impacts for access to the other parts of the airfield. So 3A is a lighter green there. That's the intersection with taxiway Alpha 1 to the ramp. And 3B will be the area in front of Jeff City Flying. And then the 3C will be the Charlie and that B West intersection area. So it's kind of broken up to try to minimize impact to different areas where we can also keep traffic flowing for construction equipment for those bigger repair areas in phase one. So, like I said, 65 calendar days overall. First phase, we're looking at about 26 days. Second phase, that orange area, we're looking at about 7 days. The light green, which is 3A, is about 12 days. 12 days for the blue area, and then 8 days for the darker green area. So that's currently what we're looking at. This isn't finalized yet. It's pretty close. So, some input here would be great if there's some concerns with access or durations or anything like that. But like I said, this is a repair project to help clean up FOD issues, help spruce up the markings, and to have a nice little project to keep that ramp in better shape, for sure.
Tom, in phase one, could you kind of go over what the limitations would be on transitioning from the north ramp to the main ramp during that, especially that redoing that full depth pavement repair?
Sure. So while that main repair area, if you can see my cursor, that main repair area, that little bigger one for that asphalt transition, it's going to be a full depth area, and it will be inside the OFA of the taxi lane. So there wouldn't be the ability to have powered aircraft through there. But with coordination with the contractor, we could look at having a period either in the morning or in the afternoon where the contractor could pull back and there could be tugged operations through there on that center line. That would be a coordination issue that we would need to clearly discuss with the contractor during bidding and just make sure everyone's on board before we get to that point.
So what we'd like input here is from the users of, what that time frame. We couldn't make it all day long. It's a shorter period in the mornings or, where the contractor would allow that tug operation. And what kind of duration do you think we're at, Tom, right there for that kind of work? For
that phase?
Yeah.
That phase is 26 days. That work in that hole will happen for the majority of that time frame. I would think the surface could be put back in within about 20 days, but they'll need some cure time and that kind of thing. But we're looking at about 26 days for that whole phase.
And is that working days or calendar days, Tom?
That is calendar days.
Okay. All right. So if anybody has some input on, what times would be best for that, we would really appreciate it at this time.
Yeah, hi, this is Travis Erickson with the Missouri Department of Conservation. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I had questions / input on that shaded green area. That's going to cut off the access to the tenants down Charlie completely, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I know you kind of said you were 20 to 26 days. Is that correct on the time frame?
For that area, that's phase 3C. That's about 8 days, calendar days.
8 days. Okay, okay. And you were talking about towing through that, but that's probably not gonna. I don't know if that's feasible for us either. So, as far as time frame, usually for us, the summer, that's our slowest time of the year. So that would probably be the least impactful for us in June, July. But I guess it'll just mean that we'll be not able to operate our fixed wing over that 8-day period, it looks like. But I just want to be, I guess, clear on that going forward so I have that information. Is that correct?
I don't think they would necessarily not be able to operate it. There could be some coordination with either relocating it during that time frame to another part of the ramp, or I don't know if there's other hangars that could potentially be there for a temporary type of thing. But just that intersection on the surface would not be necessarily usable. There'll be holes and such where they're doing small repairs. So if there's a way to coordinate leaving it out on the main ramp for that short period, that might be an option.
Yeah, that maybe probably hangar space will probably be kind of impossible at that point, I'm guessing, in Jeff City due to a lot of the hangars are down Charlie. But But yeah, we'll have to figure something out. But I just wanted to make sure that that was the case, that we would not be able to move our aircraft through there for probably those 8 days. So
That's likely the case. Yes.
okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Mhm.
Does anyone else have any questions and or timeframes from that north ramp to the main ramp transition? All right. Hearing none at this point, we're going to assume that if we have a time block of a couple hours in the morning, that would be the best time for that to be. But if somebody has other ideas, we would really need that information fairly quickly.
Just, I have a question just to make sure I'm understanding correctly. The block of time, morning and evening, will also be for that end of Charlie? Or is that just phase one, the red area up on the north ramp?
We had previously just talked about that phase one.
Okay, so there's not going to be any morning or evening going through the green shaded area?
We didn't build any extra time in for
Okay, I just want
restrictions there.
I just want to make sure we were clear so everyone understood, Gotcha. Thank you.
And the reason for, having that access to the north side, it's such a long duration. It's 26 days. It'd be difficult for the users in that area for 26 days, for sure.
Right. Okay.
And, the 8 calendar days for the green section is, we're hopeful it'll be less than that, but certainly don't think it'll be any longer than that.
Right.
Fran, I saw you start showing your video. You need to talk?
I apologize. I was on a computer I thought would work and it didn't well. So now I have video and audio better. My concern was very much what Travis mentioned, the dark green area and being able to use the aircraft on Charlie, and the north ramp, the first phase with the light pink or red, if you will. Will those, again, update me, Tom, on how will aircraft come and go under a tug? I understand that, but how will there be a time when those airplanes are just we cannot move an airplane?
So during the majority of the day, the contractor is going to have full access to their work area. And if we talk with them during the bidding process that they're going to have, an hour or two where they have to have equipment pulled back, that's a way to go about having access to that area. Just they'll have to make sure everything's cleaned off, make sure everything's safe to operate it with a tug, wing walkers, that type of thing.
Okay.
But there will be holes out there, so that's why it needs to be coordinated with the contractor and make sure that they don't have equipment in the way and things like that.
Yep.
But I think
okay.
the answer to the question is we envision this is that in that red area from the north ramp to the main ramp, that there would be an hour or two in the morning and in the evening where you'd be able to tug aircraft to and from. So it would, if you're going to use it that afternoon, you tug it out there in the morning, you store it on the main ramp, and at night you put it in, after the flight, you wait till evening and then you tug it back and put it back in the hangar. That's the north ramp to the main ramp. The Charlie, that one we're envisioning, that's an 8-day closure of Charlie. So if aircraft needed within that 8-day window, it would be best that it was brought out before then and not put back in the hangar until after.
The whole 8 days is
8 days
is best. Okay.
All right. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Problems? We know it's inconvenient, but trying to figure out a best way to do this.
Sometimes progress is inconvenient and it ends up being great at the end.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw out there, when working with consultants on, making concessions in terms of allowing aircraft to be towed through the work area, all these are going to be factored into the actual bidding price. So we don't want to impact the contractors needlessly or make it sound like we're constantly going to be towing aircraft through their work areas. We want to work through with them to make sure that they have appropriate access to the work areas and can get the job done. If they have a feeling like they're going to constantly have to move out of the way and clean up where they're working, we could be looking at needlessly high bid prices. So, it's always a balancing act in projects like this of impact on the users of the facilities and the contractor having access to his work area.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right, and just to reiterate what we're anticipating, if we get these bids together as we hope, we're looking at a notice to proceed probably in the May timeframe. And so with substantial, notice to proceed where construction was started in the May timeframe, and then substantial completion sometime around the 4th of July. That's what we're anticipating at this point, but there's a lot of hurdles to be jumped between now and then. So that schedule's still a bit fluid, and Eric will be keeping everybody up to date as we go forward. Does anybody have any other questions in reference to the ramp rehabilitation project? Hearing none, Tom, you want to stop sharing your screen there? And I think Eric has some information to share in reference to our administrative building and the restaurant, as well as parking lot.
Yep, just a quick update. Now, let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, so I'm sure as most of you know, we're in the process of there's a building being built that will be a hangar, administrative facility for myself and Jeff City Flying's flight school, and a restaurant. This is, as of yesterday, this is the progress so far. Let's see, another shot of it from Jeff City Flying's front door there. Current estimate for completion is mid-March. Hangar's looking really good on it. It's almost finished, I think. So most of it's going to be the finishing out of the restaurant and the offices and such. So that's that project and where it stands. I don't have any real pictures of the parking lot. There's not a lot to show yet. It's so far a lot of demo work, but we will have new traffic islands and lighting coming for that. That's going to be, I don't have a completion date on that one. It's hard to say on that one, but hopefully soon. That should hopefully run, the building and the parking lot hopefully will be coming together around the same time, but it's a little early to say for sure on that. We also recently did a tree removal. Let's see, there we go. This is a view of the top, is the view before we removed trees from the tower. We had a large gap of visibility, a shadow looking out over the approach of 1-2. You can't tell very well in this picture necessarily because of the difference between spring and winter, but that's about a 75% reduction in trees. If you look here and here, you can kind of gauge that. These trees here are on the other side of the fence where we don't have control of them, so they were not removed. But as you can see, there's a big chunk removed there. Depending on the approach and the aircraft, we were seeing about a 15-second loss of visibility for aircraft, up to 15 seconds. Most of them were at least 10 seconds. So we're pretty happy to see that 75% reduction there. Folks in the tower seem to be very happy with it. So yeah, that's the three big things that are going on recently here at the airport. So any questions on any of those?
Hey, just opening it up for any general questions in reference to any one of these projects and or other issues that you'd like to discuss. You all are quite the talkative group today, and but I do appreciate everybody's time and jumping on the call, and look forward to the day that we'd actually be sitting in that new administrative conference room that'll be, you know, in that administrative building, and we can actually look at each other in the face and shake hands and all that other good stuff. With that, unless anyone has any comments or questions, I'm going to end the meeting.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks.
you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for keeping us in the loop, guys.